Hi everyone, good morning. I hope you're able to hear me. Can anyone please confirm?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so till last lesson, we have come across the sequel, and there are still some pending activities as part of sequel. Those things we are going to see in the weekends. The weekends we are going to see. 1 minute, guys. Yeah, so the pending topics will come across as part of the weekend. And let's continue our Azure Data Engineering service, that is Azure Data Factory. So Azure Data Factory, we are going to use very frequently, and we need to know about how we can use Azure Data Factory for a data ingestion. So as part of the demo also, I talked about as a data engineer, we are going to do the two different primary activities, that is data ingestion and data transformation. Data ingestion and data transformation, we are going to do it. So in order to do the data ingestion and data transformation, we need to have a data factory. We need to set up for practicing. We need to do everything from our side. At the time of working, your infra team is going to take care about setting up all the services. And here you have to know how we can set up it. We already know how we can set up Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. We already know it. And Azure SQL Server also how we can set up it. We are already aware of it. And we are going to see how we can do setup of our Azure Data Factory. So Azure Data Factory is specifically designed for data ingestion as well as data transformation, but market is much more using for data ingestion. And for data transformation, we have a alternative, that is Azure Databricks. So we are going to see Azure Databricks also. Apart from the Azure Databricks, we're also going to see how we can do data transformation with the Azure Data Factory. And let's say, for example, I have a data in a database. Your database may be, this database may be SQL Server, or the database may be Oracle, or the database may be MySQL, something like this. We may have it. So if that is the case, then how you can read the data from the databases? So reading data from the database is very, very important for data engineers. Everyone has to know it. Everyone is going to work with that. And there is a more chances to ask an interview question, what type of data sources you worked or what services you have used as part of your working experience. There is a more and more chances to ask. And apart from that, we have a file system. So this file system, you may have a on-prem file system, or you may have a cloud system. Means even a cloud system is going to have both, like file system. Within the cloud also, you are going to have a files, and within the cloud, you can also have a databases also. We can also have a databases. Whatever it is, if we have some data in the data sources, you need to know how we can bring the data from here by using Azure Data Factory. So in order to connect this kind of data sources, Microsoft Data Factory is having connectors. We are going to see that. By using the connectors, we are having more and more number of connectors, around 100 different connectors we're having. I'll show you where exactly we can find them. By using those connectors, we can connect to the appropriate data source, and we can start bringing data from there. So how we can bring it, we'll see. Your data factory is responsible to connect the data sources, and your data factory is responsible to extract the data. We are going to extract it. We are going to pull the data from data sources. The process of pulling data from here, we can call it as a extraction. And then we are going to load the data into the target. Your target for data factory is mostly for ADLS Gen 2, mostly 90%. Rest of the 10% maybe SQL Server and Azure Synapse warehouse also, there is a chances to have it. So consider 90% that is ADLS Gen 2. So Azure Data Factory is a cloud-based integration service. This Azure Data Factory, we are not going to install it. We cannot install it because it is a cloud service. It's a cloud service. So since it is a cloud service, you have to use it from the cloud only. You cannot install it. So in order to take the ADF from the cloud, you need to have an account. We already having the account. We already seen how we can create an account. So by using that account, we need to consume this data factory. So I'm saying Azure Data Factory is a cloud-based integration services. Azure Data Factory is a cloud-based integration services which is used to extract the data from various data sources. So we are going to see that various data sources and transforms the data. In the second stage, we can also do the data transformation by using the data factory and transforms the data as per the business requirement. So it is a cloud-based integration services which is used to extract the data from the varieties of the data sources and transforms the data based on the business requirement. And also, we can also use this data factory to orchestrate the data between your source and target. We can automate the entire process right from the source till the target. Right from the source till the target, we can orchestrate it. So we are going to talk about medallion architecture. So that medallion architecture, we are going to have a bronze, silver, and gold layers. And landing. So landing is not part of the medallion. It is a landing zone. And from the data sources, the data will sit into the landing. From the landing, this medallion architecture is going to start into the medallion architecture will come into picture to implement your Azure data engineering projects. So most of the data engineering projects follows this architecture. So the same architecture will be used by many tools, many services. Azure Data Factory follows the same thing. Data Factory, Databricks also follows the same thing. And GCP data engineering also follows the same thing. All data engineering projects are going to do the same thing. In the second stage only, we are going to do the transformation. We are going to see all of them. So once we have completed our main services, data factory and Databricks, at the time of project, you can see complete architecture of the data flowing from the source to target. So this is higher level diagram here. Just for data factory perspective, I have given this. Now, by using the data factory, we have a one beauty thing with the data factory, which is not having in other places. That is, I told this is a cloud-based integration services. That means you can integrate the varieties of the services. You can call the varieties of the services from the data factory. You can use the HD Insights, which is related to Hadoop. You can use the Python code or Python notebooks or Databricks notebooks. We can integrate Synapse. We can integrate SSAS. We can integrate. All these are the different kind of services, but still I can call them into the data factory. We can integrate with the data factory. That feasibilities we are having it. Okay, so as part of our sessions, we are going to say notebooks very frequently. Okay, so SSIS is not required because it is there part of it. And signups is built with I'll walk you through that how it is going to be there, but you don't need to concentrate on sign up because it is going to be deprecated. So in place of that, we are going to get a fabric. So I'll give the journey of that, how exactly it is going to be happen. And Python we are going to see, but Python I'm not going to call directly into the data factory, and HD Insight is out of the boundary for us. Now I wanted to create a data factory. I wanted to provide a solution for my problem. To provide a solution for my problem, I need a data factory. So I'm just going to create a service called data factory by connecting to the portal. So I'm going to the portal to create a data factory. Just observe how I'm going to do it. Portal.azure.com. So once you log in, if it is already logged in, it will take you inside directly. And I'm going to create a new data factory here. If I wanted to create a data factory, if you want to create any data factory, we already talked about all these details. Everyone should be aware of it. In order to take the data factory or in order to take the ADLS Gen 2, we required a resource group, right? So resource group is required. Resource group is a container where we can have a collection of services. You can create this resource group while taking a service, or you can create a first resource group, then you can take a services. When you try to create a service, 100% it is going to ask what is your resource group or where do you want to create this service. And then it is also going to ask about the subscription. Subscription is required and we are going to choose the subscription. If you have a free trial, you can choose the free trial. If you have a paid, then you can take a paid. I'm having a paid subscription. I'm going to use that. And then it is also going to ask the region from which location you wanted to take the service that you need to specify. Let me hit on data factories, you can say, or you can search in the global search, that is data factories. You have to search data factories. Let me hit on data factories. I'm going to create a new data factory. I'm going to create a new data factory plus create. So while creating, it is asking a resource group. Let me create my own resource group. I told you, we already discussed about it. A resource group is a container that holds resources of an Azure solution. Let me say Bhaskar-dev. Let's hit OK. And then the data factory name, I'm going to keep it here. The data factory name, let's take ADF Bhaskar 123. And it is also asking about the region. Let's take a region is Central India, which is nearest location for me. So these details are more enough to create a data factory. So creating a data factory is very easy. You can do it easily. Subscription is required. Resource group name is required. Data factory name, and from where do you want to take the service that you have to specify. And there is a two versions, version 1 and version 2. Version 1 was deprecated, it was not available, so you can just ignore it. We have only version 2. Okay, so this is only for practicing, you're doing it. Only for practicing, you are responsible, or we are going to create our own data factory for practicing purpose. But in real time, you are not going to create the data factory. You are going to use the data factory. Okay, so how we can use the data factory, that is about our most of the sessions we are going to see. So again, I'm repeating, we are not responsible to create any service at the time of working 99%. We are going to use them for our purpose. We are going to use them to provide the solution for the big data. Now let me hit on review plus create. and hit on create. Let's go to resource. Now I have a data factory. Once you have created a data factory, if you want to access the data factory, we are going to have two different options. One is by using the portal, you can access it, and by using Azure Data Factory portal also we can access it. By using Azure portal, by using ADF portal. So Azure portal is portal.azure.com. ADF portal is adf.azure.com. Okay, so if they give access to the portal, then you can access from there. If they don't give it, you can use adf.azure.com. You can use this also to access your service. So I'm going to show you both of the options. You can feel whatever is easy for you, can take that. Let's come to here. So I'm there in the portal. When you're there in the portal, you can go to the data factories. You can see the list of data factories that you're having. I'm just going to open it. Once you open, you can see there is a launch data factory studio. Just hit on it. Even if you hit on launch, automatically it is redirecting to the Azure Data Factory portal only. adf.azure.com. You can create from the Azure portal, but you can open it in a different place also. So let me show you directly with a different one, that is adf.azure.com. You can see it, adf.azure.com. Now I'm just going to say hit on enter. Subscription name, and I have a multiple data factories here. You may have a access for data factories like you may have a access for dev, or you may have a access for test, or you may have a access of data factory prod also. You have to choose the right data factory. You have to choose the right data factory. So I'm just going to take my data factory basket ADF 1 to 3. So once you have taken, just go and hit on continue. So this is how you are going to open the data factory. Okay. Let me show here. I just kept one of them. So this is the name of the data factory that you are having here. And this is your account details, which account is connected to the data factory that you can see. Everyone is going to have only one account. And by saying this, you can just say here, we can ingest the data by using data factory. We can orchestrate the data, and we can transform the data, and we can configure SSIS. The reason why they concentrate SSIS is SSIS is their own product. So because of that reason, if they wanted to run the SSIS project directly in the data factory, they can run without doing any changes. Okay, so ignore about all those things. So just concentrate ingestion, orchestration, and data transformation. And in the left side, we'll come across this one, code setup code repository. This is very, very, very important. We cannot avoid, or we cannot say, I don't know repository. 100% you should know about it. How we can set up the repository with Azure DevOps, we'll see that when the time comes. And in the left side, you can see there is a home. When you land with the data factory portal, it is landing with the home. So this is the home of your data factory. And this is home, and this is author. This is author, and which is specifically designed for doing completely development. We are going to do 100% development here. 100% development we are going to do. So if you want to move the data from one place to other place, or if you wanted to provide a solution for your big data, then you have to come to this particular place, author. And next I'm having here is monitor. This is monitor. So monitor means reviewing. You can review job status. We can review job status. We'll see about all this stuff. And the next one I'm having toolbox. Okay, so toolbox I'm having like manage. So what you are going to manage? I wanted to manage connections. I wanted to manage integration runtimes. I wanted to manage triggers. These things we are going to have it here. We'll see all these things when the time comes. One by one, we are going to spend the time. The majority of the time we are going to spend with the development. So development is very, very important. So this is the brief navigations of the data factory tool or data factory service. So since it is coming from the cloud, we used to call it as a service. Now I wanted to talk about building blocks of data factory. If I wanted to build a solution, for your big data, then we should know about the building blocks of data factory. What are the different types of building blocks we have? So, or components of the data factory or building blocks of data factory, we can say. One is integration runtimes, link services, data sets, activities, data flows, pipelines, triggers. Whatever you are going to create, that is a building blocks, as simple as that. Okay, so you are going to participate in all these places. Integration runtime is going to provide a compute for you. Compute engine is required. If you wanted to move an item from one place to other place, then vehicle is required, right? That vehicle is your compute. So integration runtimes, without asking a question from the integration runtimes, you never finish an interview. Most of the interviews are going to ask directly or indirectly integration runtimes. So when you get any requirement, you have to keep in mind, do we need what kind of integration runtime? Without integration runtime, you cannot run the pipeline. Pipeline will not execute without integration runtime. So as we are having multiple integration runtimes, we need to decide which integration runtime is suitable for this particular requirement. So that is going to be decided. That is going to be decided by your requirement. So let's talk about this integration runtimes. Then when you get a requirement, you can feel what kind of integration runtime is required that you can decide. So integration runtime is nothing but a compute structure or compute power used by data factory to give integration capabilities across different network environments. So in order to move the data from one place to other place, we require compute. That compute is going to be provided by integration runtimes. Compute is going to be provided by integration runtimes. There are three different types of integration runtimes. Azure integration runtime, self-hosted integration runtime, and SSIS integration runtime. So there is a question, how many types of integration runtimes? If you have a 3+ or 4+ experience, there is a chances to ask. how many different types of integration runtimes? Or I have a requirement like this. For this requirement, what kind of integration runtime is required? They may ask. Or where do you install integration runtime? Or where do you set up the integration runtime? So all those kind of questions you may get in a different directions. Once you know about clearly about your integration runtime, you can give the answer whatever the direction it is coming. So let's talk about the first integration runtime is Azure integration runtime. Many times we're going to use this Azure integration runtime. Azure integration runtime is used to read the data from Azure Data Lake storages to Azure Data Lake storages. Azure Data Lake storages to Azure Data Lake storages, we are going to use it. For example, I have a data in the ADLS. We know already how we can create a ADLS. You just imagine, I have my business data in the ADLS, which is Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 cloud storage it is. Your ADLS is a cloud storage. And I have a Azure SQL database also. That is also cloud storage. So if my data store is cloud storages, if my data storages are cloud storages, in order to read the data from the cloud storages, we require to use Azure integration runtime. We require to use Azure integration runtime. Without Azure integration runtime, first of all, without integration runtime, you cannot do anything. As simple as that. So Azure integration runtime is required to read the data from Azure storages, its own storages. And if you want to load the data into Azure storages, in that case also we require Azure integration runtime. In both the places, we require Azure integration runtime. So keep in mind, integration runtime is required to read the data. Integration runtime is required to write the data also. You're reading here and you're writing. For both of them, we require integration runtime. How we can use this integration runtime, we'll see that. But Azure integration runtime is 100% is required to read the data from Azure storages and to write the data into Azure storages. And this is a default integration runtime. You are going to get this while when the moment to create a data factory, when the moment to set up the data factory, along with the data factory, you are going to get this Azure integration runtime. So it is a default integration runtime. It comes with the ADF. If you want to set up again your Azure integration runtime, you can also set up it. I'll also show that. Okay, so let me show you how exactly or where exactly we can see this integration runtime in the data factory. Let's go to the portal. In the portal, we have a manage. Hit on manage. Under manage, we have a varieties of the options. One of the option or one of the blank, I'm having connections. One of the option is connections. And connection is having link services, integration runtimes. So concentrate on this integration runtimes. I'm just going to hit on this integration runtimes. Now you can see here what it is saying. Integration runtime, IR, is the compute infrastructure to provide the following data integration capabilities across the different network environment. So this is the auto resolve integration runtime of type Azure integration runtime. If you want to create your own integration runtime for Azure itself, you can go and set up it. So by default, you are having Azure integration runtime. I did not set up it. It comes with the data factory. Your Azure integration runtimes comes with the data factory. You can use that. So it's up and running. So that is what I'm just saying. The next integration runtime is self-hosted integration run. We'll talk about it, but when we are going to use this, we'll see when the time comes. So since we are talking about the building blocks of data factory, I wanted to cover this self-hosted integration runtime theoretically here. How we can use it practically and what situations we are going to use. We are going to say 100% we are going to use this. There is no doubt at all. Any project in the market. Okay, so when we can use this self-hosted integration runtime is if your data source is non-Azure storages. Non-Azure storages. There are many data storages are available. There are many Azure storages are available. There are many non-Azure storages are available. If you want to read the data from non-Azure systems, then we are going to use self-hosted integration runtime. I wanted to read the data from Oracle, then self-hosted integration runtime is required. I wanted to read the data from MySQL, self-hosted integration runtime is required. I wanted to read the data from the Snowflake. You can use the self-hosted integration runtime. I wanted to read the data from Google Storage. Self-hosted integration runtime is required. So when the moment you're trying to read the data from non-Azure systems, then we are going to use self-hosted integration runtime. And 100% our target is going to be Azure Data Lake storages. Azure storages only. Mostly. I can say 99%, 99%. Okay, so there is a chances to have Snowflake also as a target, but I didn't come across anywhere. If at all, if you have it, then there also you're going to use self-hosted. So in order to write the data into Azure storages, we are going to use Azure integration runtime. So self-hosted integration runtime is required to read the data from on-prem or to read the data from non-Azure systems. To write the data, we can write into Azure storages with Azure integration runtime. So by using Azure integration runtime, we can write the data into the target. We are going to see everything this practically. Practically, we are going to see. So you don't worry about it at this point of time, but sure, we are going to see everything practically. So when the moment they ask, what is the purpose of self-hosted integration runtime? You should be in a position to give the answer. Self-hosted integration runtime is used to read the data from non-Azure platforms and to write the data into non-Azure platforms. So that you have to keep in mind. The last integration runtime is SSIS integration runtime. This is only for interview point of view, and it is not recommended to use it. Microsoft is providing the feasibility for their customers, for their existed customers. But the cost is, I feel cost is very huge, and we cannot keep this with longer time. So Microsoft is recommending to migrate your project. Okay, so instead of going and running exactly your entire stuff as it is in the data factory, always they're recommending to redesign your solution. So Azure integration run SSIS integration runtime will be used to run your SSIS packages as it is in the data factory without doing any changes. Let's say, for example, as I said, SSIS project is on-prem. SSIS is on-prem. I have 100 packages here. I have 100 packages. Out of 100, just imagine I designed or I redesigned my solution. I redesigned my existed solution. 90 packages are successfully migrated. Migrated means redesigned. And 10 still there are 10 packages are still in a SSIS and they're taking longer time to design it. And I don't want to keep my on-premise is just because of for 10 packages. So in that case, what you can do is you can dump all this 90 pack. I mean, your 90 packages are there with the ADF. 90 packages are converted into pipelines. Okay. And rest of the 10 only is there. This 10, this 10 packages, this 10 packages we can lift and shift. This 10 we can lift and shift into the data factory. You can lift and shift as it is without doing any changes for this 10 packages, and we can run from so that we can decommission your on-premise. We can reduce the cost. If we have such kind of situations, then we recommend to go with that approach. Otherwise, no. The cost is little more. And even I don't recommend it to do practice also. This is very dangerous. You can straight away say we redesigned. If you work with existed, you can say that. So in that case, if they ask if you wanted to run my packages as it is in the data factory, you can say we can use the SSIS integration runtime to run our SSIS packages as it is in our data factory. We have a feasibility. So in the interview point of view, this will be helpful for you. And the next building block, we have seen IR. Next is link service. Link services are also known as connection managers in SSIS. Connection managers in SSIS, we used to call it. So these connection managers are going to have a connection details. You just imagine, I wanted to transfer some items. I wanted to transfer some items from one location to other location. Or I wanted to send a parcel. If I wanted to send a parcel, then definitely you need to specify the target address. Target address is required. Without target address, that cannot be delivered. In the same way, you're also going to keep, for some reason, you're also going to keep the source address also. Or let's take other example, you may feel little more relevant. I'm working in a Chennai. You just imagine. I got a opportunity to work in Hyderabad. So if I get a chance to work in Hyderabad, then definitely I have to relocate from Chennai to Hyderabad. If I wanted to relocate it, then definitely you are going to consult with packers and movers, right? Most of you are aware of it, if I'm correct. So they used to deliver the items from one place to other place. They're providing a service. So you're going to call, you're making a call to them and saying that I have so and so requirement. Then there will be some person to take your request. So the first question are they're going to ask what is the location to pick the items? What is the location to pick the items? So location is required. That means address is required. Items are there. So to take this item, they're asking a location. You're providing the source location. At the same time, they're also going to ask to where we wanted to deliver. So delivery location is Hyderabad. So source location is required, target location is required for these packers and movers to pack the items and to deliver the items. So you provided the location details. that location details is known as a link service. Your items is known as a data. I'll come to that point. So it is used to have a connection details of the source and target. Your link service, your link services are going to have a source connection details and target connection details. Source connection details and target connection details are required as part of your link service. If you don't have address details, these packers and movers cannot come to your location. It's not possible. Okay, so there are varieties of the categories. We have two different types of categories. I mean, multiple connectors are there. So those connectors are categorized into two parts. One is data store and other is compute. If you want to take the items, then you have to take the items related connectors. If you want to take the compute, we can integrate Azure Databricks. We can integrate HD Insights. We can integrate Azure Functions with the Data Factory. So in that case, we require compute. So if you want to take the compute, then compute connectors are required. If you want to take the data, mostly concentrate on it. We are going to have a data. So most of the times we are going to use this. So data related connectors, we're going to have it. We'll see that. So two parts are there. One is data store related connectors where we can have the data, and compute connectors where we are going to have an infrastructure runtime. So data store, it is used to read data or it is used to store the data. If you want to store the data, you can use the store connectors. If you want to read the data, then you can use the data store connectors. I have a Azure related connectors, database related connectors, file related connectors, generic protocol connectors, NoSQL connectors, services and apps related connectors. All these connectors will be used by Data Factory to connect it. So while connecting to this, we are going to provide the connection details. Where is your source details, or what connects, what address it is you're having, that we are going to specify as part of your source and target. Is everyone clear with the link service?
Yes.
Okay. Let me show you where we can see the connectors in the Data Factory. In the Data Factory, you can see there is a link services. Hit on the link services. When I hit on plus new, you can see link services defines the connection information to, to a data store or compute. For both of them. For data, we can use it. For compute also, we can use it. Hit on new, you can see here data store connectors, compute connectors. In the data store connectors, we have a Azure category, database category, file, generic protocol, and others also available here. Apart from that, we are also having compute connectors. You can see NoSQL connectors, services and apps. All also can find it. Azure is having Azure related storages. Databases having database related connectors. You can see Google Ads, Google BigQuery, Hive, HBase, MySQL, Oracle, Netizen, PostgreSQL. These are all database related file connectors. And you can also see the compute. We can have a compute for Databricks. It's very, very important. And Azure Data Lake Analytics, Azure Functions, Azure signups. If you want to connect to your Azure signups, you can have it. So like this, we have a varieties of the compute connectors also. And by using this data store connectors and compute connectors, we can create a link services. So link services are going to have a address details. Link services are going to have a address details. Any question here as of now? Okay, so the next one is data set. The next building block is data set. So data set, I told you, when they're trying to take items by coming to your location, that items is known as your data. You have a room. In the room, you have a items. Just imagine. So the packers and movers depends on your requirement. They're going to take items. If they need all the items, then they're going to take all the items to deliver. There are chances, more chances. You already settled in the particular location. Just imagine you already settled, and you're not interested to move completely. I wanted to keep I wanted to keep most of the items here itself, or I wanted to keep few items here itself. So that means I wanted to ask them to deliver only few items. So few items means you're not taking all the data, you're taking only required data. There is a chances. So what items you wanted to take? What items you wanted to take is known as a data set. So data set is going to decide what data is required for your data processing. What data is required for your data processing is going to be decided by a data set. We have to create a data set. While creating a data set, we do not recommend to create too many data sets. We do not create too many data sets. We are going to create only required data sets. We are going to create only required data sets. So metadata driven pipelines are metadata driven data sets. We are going to see how we can create a data sets to reuse it. This is very important. So how we are going to do it, we are going to see throughout all sessions. So data set is required for source and data set is required for target also. Whatever the items you have taken in the source, the same items you have to deliver in the target also, right? If I send 5 items, we are going to cross verify are 5 items reach to the target or not when you deliver the items, right? That is a data set. So data set is required for source and data set is required for target. So we are going to see, mostly we are going to start practically how we can do it from tomorrow. That is very, very important. Once you understand the first pipeline, then you can understand many pipelines when I'm going to take you through that. I hope you are clear on it. So tomorrow I'm going to take you through the practical things, and I'm stopping here. If you have any question, you can ask. Okay, then we'll see you on tomorrow. Thank you for joining.